Long ago, long ago, but it actually could also be today, a person heard about this thing called the Golden Rule. Do any of you know what the Golden Rule is? Oh, who knows what the Golden Rule is? No? Anyone? Oh, good. I mean, I'm glad there are some graduates of UURE school who know. Yeah. What's the Golden Rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and love your neighbor as yourself. So the person who heard this asked a supposedly wise person who was in the neighborhood and said, well, who then is my neighbor? Who do I have to love? And that wise person in this story was Jesus. And a version of the story is the one we're telling today when he answered this question that he was asked. He said, long ago, and it could also be today, there was a road that was famous for being dangerous. It cut through a rocky and deserted mountainous landscape, and
it was a place you didn't want to be walking alone. Definitely not after sunset. It was famous for thieves that would hide and ambush unsuspecting travelers. On that road, a man walked, and that man was set upon by just such a band of thieves. He was beaten in ways I won't describe because we don't need that violence in our heads. There's already too much violence in our heads. But know only that the man was so hurt that he lay unconscious and bloodied by the road, needing help. Good news, maybe. Along the road came a minister from a church, maybe ours, a person who was supposed to know and do all the good things, but that person was heading to church and might get her hands or clothes dirty or be late for service. So she walked by.
But don't despair. There was another person on the road, a lay leader from a church. Come on, Daniel, do some improv. Maybe ours, maybe another. But that person who was on the road was supposed to light the chalice that day, or maybe serve coffee, or teach a class. So they passed by. We'll have to imagine this third person. This third person who came down the road was someone who came from a group of people that weren't from around here. They were from a different religion. They were of a different nationality. They dressed differently. People didn't talk about this kind of person very nicely. In the old days, in the original story, this person was known as the Samaritan.
When we hear this story long ago, children shake their heads. We are not hinging our hopes on this kind of person. That poor man by the road is running out of time, and that dude isn't going to do any good. But then the surprise of the story, the Samaritan stops. He sees that this person is hurt. Maybe he puts the man on his back or on his horse, clothes getting bloodied, late for whatever it was that he needed to do, and he finds an inn. And mind you, no one is warm or welcoming when he enters, but he does, and hands them money, enough for food and lodging for weeks. So this man, not of his religion or his nationality, but beaten and robbed, has time to heal and people to care for him until he does. And then the Samaritan goes back and walks the road.
And Jesus, you might remember from the beginning of the story, he tells this story to answer the question, who is my neighbor? So who is the neighbor in the story? The third guy, the foreigner from far away that we don't like or trust, who looked and acted maybe a little differently than we were used to. Who else? All of them. Yeah, they're all our neighbors, including the person bloodied in the road, in need of us. And the story points out, without saying it, that even the good people, the people we expect to do the right thing, forget who their neighbor is. The story is supposed to remind us that whenever we ask, is that my neighbor? Do I need to love them as myself? That the answer is always yes.
Long, long ago, and today too.